more percentage in the positive category, that makes it a safe bring to a tournament. I think a lot of times it does fall into that fourth deck category. Obviously, we're seeing Rogue struggle because the main decks that players are bringing in their lineup, like Rush Warrior, which I think has been an incredible performer so far throughout the tournament, destroy it, right? Just absolutely destroy it. It's its worst matchup. So we're seeing it struggle, but I do think that Rogue is consistent enough and good enough to where it warrants a slot.
Right.
But okasinnsuke, he brought kind of the Shaman instead. It's more of a standard lineup with a Shaman thrown in.
Yeah.
And I think that I actually really like that decision because I do think that Shaman's power level is higher, and I did expect more to be in the tournament.
Well, already, as we look into the beginnings of the first game of this series, Shinsuke's actually got a really good opening, and I feel like the opening you kind of want as the Shaman in any aggro deck like this that has Spell Burst. You kind of always want those minions early, right, to start the game off, and then have the spells later on to provide the extra burst damage. So it's got a pretty good base so far with that new Primal Dungeoneer as well to help with the card draw. So looking pretty good. OmegaZero, on the other hand, a little bit slower of a hand overall.
Yeah, but honestly, like Rush Warrior is one of those decks that can afford it because they can accrue resources, and as long as they pick up or run deck or conditioning in the mid game, they can really explode onto the board and find themselves in that position where, like I said, they're ahead on board and they force the Shaman into a race position. One thing I will note is there is no Kresh in the deck. I feel like just by looking at a bunch of different lists, it does seem like it's 50-50.
Yeah, I agree, actually.
Whether or not players included Kresh in the list. Kresh can help a lot in this matchup because a lot of times when you're setting up Burst as the Shaman, you're going to have to damage a minion along the way, whether it's Dunk Tank, whether it's Storm Strike, and a lot of times that Frenzy effect will go off and maybe buy the Warrior some much-needed time to get there. So that's a little bit of a downside. The Archdruid Neralex, it's such a hard card to evaluate, right? Because the cards are so wide in power level. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I see some Battlecry cards over there. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that okasinnsuke went for the coin that turn, because I thought him having Serpent Bloom as well as just other options already in hand probably warranted holding the coin. Do you think he was just fishing for the Elemental to just draw the weapon, to draw Doomhammer in time?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in the intro to this matchup, but the deck relies so much on Doomhammer. It's so much harder to piece together a successful game plan without it. And it's pretty, honestly, it's pretty unlikely with how many kind of fetch effects or tutor effects or whatever you want to call them that you have for the card, whether it's fetching an elemental that then fetches the weapon, or just fetching the weapon itself, or just fetching the elemental itself. There's a lot of redundancy to try and hit it, so a little bit unfortunate that he hasn't been able to hit it yet, but board hasn't gotten too out of control. But again, the thing about Rush Warrior is you think that until it does. Whoa! Raven.
Are you okay, TJ?
So fancy.
Do you not get this?
I was just thinking in my head, do you know what I love right now? I rarely click it. Because even when I'm not on camera, I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
So my hand is ever on my mouse, so I never click the button.
This is where I'm doing the exceptional co-caster job of knowing what you're thinking and assisting you.
The storm is in.
Appreciate it.
I was waiting for a... Nah, it wasn't that good.
He's actually not looking for Doomhammer. He's looking for Lightning Bloom. I'm just kidding. I just want.
Oh no! What have I done? Here though, so far, okasinnsuke has actually built some level of board. It is going to get cleaned up pretty nicely from OmegaZero, and suddenly it's one of those weird matchups in which Ogremancer could see some pretty good value, right? It's kind of high health, awkward to kill for the Shaman, and also, yeah, the Shaman will want to play spells that are very good at just burning OmegaZero down, so...
Yeah, this is
it's slipping, isn't it?
Pretty rough spot. Yeah, it's like... if okasinnsuke had like a Doomhammer right now, it may not be too bad because he could push a little bit of damage, take their car off the board, and then have a good amount of follow-up, the dunk tank for next turn to try and clear things up and then keep pushing, and then eventually down the line, Diligent Note Taker, one Rockbiter Stormstriker pick.
Okay. That'll work. Does he?
Do you landslide?
Yeah, first. That's what I was looking at. I think so, right? A 3-drop will have more than 2 health. What's the value of actually just having... Whoa! Okay, that's just funny. It just swapped over to the other side.
Yes.
Little time.
And the Vulpera is actually not...
Next turn with the Sword Eater.
Yeah.
You just gave him more damage.
Yeah.
Looks like Omega's considering just playing Ogremancer anyway. Interesting. Just really wants to get it down.
No, it's not right.
I don't think so.
Not a reliable way to get outcast cards.
And I think okasinnsuke is actually just going to be going for Fireheart Dream because he is very behind. And like you said, with no Doomhammer, even on turn 5, it didn't look great not having Doomhammer, but turn 7 now.
A torrent, like right off the bat, would be incredible.
Wait, what's that? Okay, TJ. You're getting your first Crazy Raven idea of the day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like my first Crazy Raven idea in a while because we were in the cast together. Hit me.
True. Was there ever a thought pattern to go Diligent Note Taker and just dunk tank face and then have Diligent Note Taker dunk tank face again? Because Omega's not got tons of damage on board yet. Maybe that's what he just has to do. Oh!
Okay, guidance? Get to discover potentially 2 spells and then also get another spell from Fireheart.
This game really wants Sensuke to have Storm Strike. It's offered him like 3 times or something. Now.
Wait, both?
Wait, he went for... He took Overload for Nothing Can Stop Us? He's not going to have a board, is he, TJ?
Question mark? I mean, that could end up being a pretty big deal because that means that okasinnsuke can't go Diligent Note Taker, Landslide. Oh, no, he still can go Diligent Note Taker, Landslide. I don't know. Maybe feels like it might need the extra attack on the 2-1. It's a stealth minion to be able to take the overload. He's still healthy, right?
Yeah.
For now, is at 29. Won't be at 29 at the end of this turn. Actually, it's not going to be healthy at all because that weapon has 5 attack.
Oh. He just really needs the overload on the corruption on the dunk tank, right? Like, that would solve a good chunk of problems.
Yeah. Still no Doomhammer. Still no Cage Match Custodian Ire. That's pretty crazy. Gotten this far down the deck.
Do you think he has to live the dream with Devolving Missiles here?
Nah, I think he has to go Diligent, Landslide. Still
He doesn't. That's
power.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like
power on board.
That's what I mean. If he hits like there's 3 minions he could hit that would almost certainly dramatically reduce the health down, right?
Yeah. But then it also summons a 2/2 each time you do it.
Yeah.
Which messes up the pool. I mean, he could have gone like Diligent Note Taker, Landslide, then Devolving Missiles. If he had not taken the Nothing Can Stop Us the previous turn. But a rough game. Didn't really hit much anyway. And there were some different lines that he could have took, but honestly, like nowhere close to stabilizing in that position. So takes the L.
It's just one of those outcomes, right? It's this. We could talk about this for many different decks, many different archetypes. But if your deck is revolving around 1 to 2 key cards, and you just hit one of those games where you just don't get them, it's going to be way harder, right? It's the same of Weapon Rogue, it's the same of OTK Demon Hunter if they can't either hit Skull or can't hit Il'gynoth bottom card or something. Like, it has such a dramatic impact on the game and how well you can perform there. So, although it looked really bad and looks like okasinnsuke could just do nothing that game, next game he could just have Doomhammer on curve, right? And then just destroys it. So it's just one of those things where you almost have to just put it out of your mind. A certain percentage of games you just won't get hold of it. But I think it's fair to say, as you mentioned earlier, with all the ways to get hold of a Doomhammer, the percentage of games that you don't get it is very, very low.
Yeah, that's true, but when you don't get it, sometimes the games look pretty silly.
It hurts.
You look like a control deck that just never quite gets there. But OmegaZero going to move to the Token Druid. Slightly interesting take on the deck. Runs a copy of Pounce, which, not gonna lie, I feel like resizing Pouch would be better in almost every situation.
Unless you've not got the 1 mana to play it.
True, but that's rare. Because you very often discover a Pounce. There's not many. There's only 5 zero cost things that you can get, and Pounce is one of them. But it does allow for some more powerful early board swings. I think in like a Token Druid mirror matchup, it can also help a lot because it allows you to fight for board a little bit early on when you are strapped for mana. So I understand the inclusion. And one thing also that I wanna touch on that we haven't really is OmegaZero is kind of a Hearthstone legend. And not like he hits legend. He's a legend in the history of the game.
Yeah, we're scraping the barrel when we just have to tell our viewers that, this player hits legend, so it's pretty good, right?
I mean, there was a while in like 2016, 2017 where we like dumped stats on the broadcast, and some of those stats were has hit legend X number of times.
Yeah, that is true.
That was like what we had to go off of. Now we have like at least somewhat of a rich history of the game, so we can talk about it. But OmegaZero is in the exclusive club of 1, having been to 2 world championships. Not many players can say that. And 2 is in the 100K club, which means his earnings have totaled over $100,000 from Hearthstone, which again, not many people have crossed that threshold. Not many players have crossed it.
Well,
so.
Important to point out as well, that's just from Hearthstone tournament winnings, right? That's probably not how much money is earned roughly in and around the game, but just tournament winnings. So it's
that's just straight up tournament winnings.
Which makes it a bigger number, right? In my opinion.
Yeah. And also doesn't include the teams that he's been on.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's just these global or large scale tournament earnings.
Yep.
Totals over 100,000. Which you win in the past. You win a Masters Tour, except for like the first one or the first 2 or whatever, where the prize pool was like crazy distributed to the top. 50,000 last year, 25,000 this year. So it's a pretty big deal.
Yep. It's also a big deal, TJ.
Doomhammer.
It is, yeah. He has Doomhammer. He has Doomhammer twice if he really wants it as well this game. So he'll have enough Doomhammers to make up for both games. Thanks, TJ. You read my mind. Oh, what a partner. Can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, and I got you.
Thank you.
I got you.
Oh, it's too much. It's too much. Literally, you showed me 2 Doomhammers, and I said okasinnsuke had access to 2 Doomhammers. It's genius, TJ. I don't know why you casting. Run production. Well, I feel like that's your true talent.
I need more buttons. I only have 2. I wish I could just put Doomhammers everywhere on the screen. Ooh. Meanwhile, Gibberling gone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And also the fungal didn't... okay, guidance is okay. But the fungal didn't really get anywhere for the immediate future, right? OmegaZero does have now the Glowfly, but that's still a couple of turns away. Because normally as well, it's kind of awkward to innovate or buff into Glowfly, boost yourself into a Glowfly turn, if then that spends too many cards, right? Because he threw the Gibble in, then his Glowfly is going to be smaller and smaller the more he has to spend on it. So, not looking too great. And already facing down 2/2/2s on board.
Yeah. I think he's trying to think of, like, what am I even looking for from guidance?
You know what would be sick right now, TJ? Read my mind. No? Have you failed in the first hurdle? Pounce! Pounce would be great. He can kill off the 2/2 with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're
There you go.
absolutely right. Pounce is fantastic.
On a
Play a little bit of board control here, but
yeah.
needs to hold on to more resources for that Glowfly Swarm, I think.
Pick the one, see?
Well,
No reason to not go for the guidance, right? Have a little look in the box.
I mean, yes, there's no reason to not go for it because, like, he's thinking, well, that's my only cheap potential overload card, I guess. So if I want to set up for a possible... He really likes Nothing Can Stop Us. I bet you he takes both.
He's just got to discover a Murloc and then things are really going to heat up. He does!
Well, again, so it overloads. That's the important part, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he actually likes Nothing Can Stop Us.
I'm choosing to believe he does.
Otherwise. Okay, he does. He loves it. But regardless of what that was, even if it was a terrible spell like Storm Strike or a Rock Biter weapon, or even Pounce, then he still would have taken it because he wants access to the extra damage landslide going.
And it works really well because he has landslide for this turn, and then that just opens up the overload the turn after to just equip Doomhammer, right? So it's just good planning here, however much we're being very stupid, and I only half apologize for that.
Hey!
Oh, never mind. He loves nothing. It's just clearly the best card and the best play. But yeah, the plan really was there to just have answers to boards from Omega and then curve naturally into Doomhammer.
Yeah. Question will become, will okasinnsuke deviate if Glow Supply Storm comes down here and not go for Doomhammer?
What are you thinking? Double landslide?
That's rough, huh?
But he could.
That's real rough, huh?
He could go Doomhammer and just kill 3 minions if he really wanted to, right?
Yeah, but then, like, if Arbrup comes out, then all of a sudden, I guess if Arbrup did come out, then he could go double landslide next turn because you still have the 4 mana available. I guess I don't hate that. The problem becomes, like, what if other board presence cards come out like Pride's Fury or Soul of the Forest?
That's
I guess
true.
Double Landslide would still hit Soul of the Forest, but...
Yeah, I just think that, well, if that happens and there's some miracle combo of cards, you lost the game of Hearthstone, unlucky. But if any more reasonable things happen, I think okasinnsuke is in a great spot, actually, with this play. I like it a lot. And he's not going to win the game if he doesn't get Doomhammer equipped.
True. Got a lot of damage in hand if he could just unlock a little bit more mana crystals.
Right.
Diligent Note Taker and Rockbiter Weapon in hand, as well as the Storm Strike. I mean, that right there, he could be in a situation where he could just set up 2-turn lethal, but I think a double landslide here will suffice to clean the board, push 4, and then go into the 7-man turn completely free and clear of overload.
Yeah, and more importantly as well, we can see that OmegaZero's just got nothing after this, right? And I think okasinnsuke is going to be confident with that, seeing double Glowfly now. He'll also be confident that it's unlikely Omega has anything super strong as refill. He's seen a Gibbling already get thrown. He knows there's 2 Glowflies been used up already. There's just not much left.
Would need... It would have to been like Fungal Fortunes there. I would have even accepted a guess the weight in that situation.
Or like this Luna had to be solar or something, right? Just to make more of these taunts and then buff them or something like that. Like there would have had to been something a little bit bigger than this.
Yeah.
Is he looking for that card or does he just have that card, TJ? I feel like we need to change the text on this.
Wait, I was trying to do something, but I wasn't fast enough. Let me try it again. Hold on. Hold on. Not looking for.
What is a... Why does a line mean not... You just put a random line on that graphic. It was like that.
All right.
Not.
On my screen, I was crossing it out.
Oh, that's not what I saw the card and then one line just go above the card.
Yeah, well.
Not your best work, TJ. Not your best work.
Brutal, man.
Can he do anything to get past this? Oh, he's just a little bit off,
Storm
right?
Strike and then push damage.
Yeah, I'm just trying to... I was trying to see if he could get, like, Diligent Note Taker, Storm Strike, and Rock Biter, but he's just a little bit...
I think it's just Deathmatch Pavilion on the backside of this, and then you can do Diligent Note Taker with the Rock Biter next turn.
Yep, keep it simple. Again, with 2 cards in hand for OmegaZero, 3 on the draw, of course, I don't think okasinnsuke is too afraid of OmegaZero's next turn, right?
Oh!
That's a whiff.
He is Omega dead. His life total is about to be OmegaZero. Well, that'll do it. Diligent Note Taker, Rock Biter, or or Dunk Tank. You know, whichever way okasinnsuke wants to do it, and he's going to type the series 1 game apiece.
Yeah, factually proving our point that if you have Doomhammer, you win. If you don't, you lose so far in this series, as he gets the win with the Shaman, and pretty convincing as well. And I think it was, however much we were joking about nothing and taking both, I think it was actually just really good heads-up play of okasinnsuke having plans for pretty much anything OmegaZero was going to do, right? He had the benefit of the minions on board, so the nothing actually allowed him to trade instead of using landslide, and then he just had the landslide turns perfectly to deal with the only real push OmegaZero had in that game, all the while weaving in that Doomhammer swing. So just really, really strong performance, and you can see why there are a selection of players bringing Shaman so far.
Yeah, just showcasing the strong sides of the deck. And, you know, Token Druid can sometimes be a little bit of a difficult matchup because if they build one board that you can't touch, you're going to die. But a lot of times if you deal with like the first board or, you know, the first and the second board with landslides or dunk tank, you're in the clear. You're able to race and push enough damage before they can kill you. So it does live on a knife's edge in that regard. But, you know, that was a nice pin up for okasinnsuke. I think he played that well, so nicely done. And now we move on to Warrior and Demon Hunter. Wow, 4 unique classes remain. Token Druid and the Rogue still left for OmegaZero, and then Warrior and Demon Hunter left for okasinnsuke.
Yeah, and honestly, just straight off the bat, I'm just going to assume okasinnsuke's Warrior will get a win. 1, it could hit a good matchup like the Rogue from Omega, and 2, I think every single series I've seen, the Warriors always get the wins, right? Like, that's just almost a given at this point, that Warrior somehow is going to win no matter what. So then all eyes really are just drawn to this Demon Hunter with the Rogue and Druid on the other side of OmegaZero. And honestly, right now, with okasinnsuke already getting the win on his Shaman, and me being confident in his Warrior, I think he's looking pretty good in this series overall, because Demon Hunter's got game versus Token Druid, it's got game versus Rogue as well. So I think just looking at how the matchups can go together, okasinnsuke's lineup's looking really, really good to take this series.
Yeah, I would agree. Though Token Druid is a deck that can just steal a win against just about anything. But I do feel like we've been in this situation so many times, not only over the course of this Masters Tour, but also if we look back towards Grandmasters playoffs across every region, where it seemed like Rogue was the deck that, you know, every player was sweating. They're like, oh, I'm up 2-0, but Rogue's my last deck. What am I going to do? I guess to go back to your previous question from the beginning of this match, what do I think of Rogue in the lineups? If that's my feeling, every time like Rogue is a deck that's remaining for a player, maybe I should change my stance and say, well, no, it shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, and this is just what I was meaning overall, and I'm not going to harp on about this all weekend, but it's just the fact that you expect Rush Warrior, so there's one bad matchup because you're banning Priest, right? So Rush Warrior's there, and then you look at if anyone's bringing on, you know, some of these sort of aggro style lineups, even if they're just even lineups, that's still not good for you, right? If you've got one bad matchup and two 50-50s, like that's not really what you want from a deck in the lineup overall. So we'll see how it pans out. Maybe we'll be surprised by the end of the weekend and Rogue's actually just the best deck. We'll have to see. But so far, yeah, okasinnsuke is going to be on this Warrior. The build overall looks fairly standard, has that mutinous inclusion, but that's it. As you mentioned, no Crash. There's none of that extra late game that some Warriors are kind of flirting with, even with the addition of some players playing Southang and Crash, just to get that like double dip on the armor. So it looks like a good list for me. I think, although I like the ideas of the later game additions to Warrior, I do also appreciate that suddenly your deck is like 50% 7 mana plus at that point. It gets a little bit much, so I think I like keeping it low.
Yeah, you don't need too expensive stuff when all of your stuff's going to be big anyway.
Right.
So even the cheap stuff. The only issue I have with it is the double Crab Rider. I'm not a fan of double Crab Rider. I think one Crab Rider is good enough. But if you're expecting, you know, a tournament full of matchups where you need early game board control, Crab Rider kind of fits that quite well. It's just lost a lot of its power level since it only gets the Wind Fury off of Battlecry now. It doesn't have this like aggressive start tag to it anymore. While it still can be decent in combination with Parade Leader, outside of that, it just doesn't feel particularly impactful in a lot of matchups. But he's running 2 10 Trashers, so, you know, being able to go with like Bumper Car and Crab Rider and then get down a much cheaper 10 Trasher, that also has a lot of merit.
I also don't mind it if you expect a lot of the mirror, right? Because any buff on that is going to start trading very... I've created a monster. And what's worse is somehow I've created this by doing my job well. Like, that's the worst part. But yeah, let's dip away from the Warrior Mirror matchup, at least for now. Is OmegaZero going to be on this token Druid? TJ's going to try and break me, and I'm afraid it's going to work.
That wasn't me. My hands are not even on my mouse.
Oh, is this Soul trolling us? I know that the other casters are discussing the fact that although right now TJ and I have control over what you guys see with those pop-ups, I believe there is a third person that can have access to it as well, and that might be one of our friendly co-casters trying to troll us, so we'll have to see. But OmegaZero doesn't have to look for Pounce because he has it in his opening hand, so we'll see if that comes into much use here.
What's funny is that it could even be Derek, even though he's not even casting this event, so I wouldn't...
If he's awake... Let me check if he's online.
Yeah.
I know it couldn't be Lorinda because he's got no clue how technology works. So it's that's one person we could cross straight off that list.
Yep, rule him out. All right, let's take stock of these opening hands. OmegaZero has nothing yet everything. By everything, I mean a board full of Gibberlings that can't be buffed, and okasinnsuke has a Blade Master Samuro that can be buffed. And right off the bat, I just love okasinnsuke's hand. Just having conditioning in Blade Master Samuro gives you so much peace of mind against Token Druid, because you can feel free to just play things onto the board and know that that first wave of threats you're going to be able to handle. So, and a lot of times the first wave can be enough, right? Because usually you're hitting a critical mass of board state at that point in the game. Blade Master Samuro sticks around, which means that then you have things to trade over in the future. Your minions are just getting larger and larger as the game goes on. A lot of times Token Druid needs to spend a lot of mana just building a board, let alone trying to take a board back.
Yeah, 100%. I think the fact that Samuro sticks around, there's also that Crab Rider in there that's going to get some value once it's had a conditioning and been played. But we do see pretty good usage of Pounce, if I'm going to be completely honest, right? Like, being able to kill off a Parade Leader is a big deal right now. It allowed OmegaZero to hold on to Lunar Eclipse, which will open up bigger turns with Gibbling later on, if he can get there. But I do agree with you already, although there's the Gibbling turn, the sheer fact that Samuro exists in okasinnsuke's hand just makes me feel like this game might be edging close to already over, even though OmegaZero won't see it yet.
That was kind of an interesting turn. There was the option to just like go for conditioning, but the bumper card pickup from Stage Dive does change that dynamic quite significantly. The one argument for it is that if okasinnsuke would need to go for a Blade Master Samuro next turn, he now wouldn't have the mana to buff it up and then trade off. So this is a conscious decision. But if it was a Glowfly Swarm, it would have to have been a coin usage, which means it wouldn't be that large. And with just like conditioning and Crab Rider, would be able to clear up pretty much the entire board anyway. However, there's a Pride's Fury coming down on this Gibberling board, which is a little bit scary, honestly, because these minions are a little bit outside of the range of what okasinnsuke can like confidently remove. Still on at 5 mana, so conditioning doesn't get the double buff. And if this board sticks and then Arbor up is the follow-up, could be some rough times in the future.
Yeah, I guess, and it's easy for me to say because we can see the hand, right? But okasinnsuke knows that OmegaZero's effectively got one card in hand because the other one's the Massul Cup. I think his approach, because he has conditioning, because he has coin as well for next turn, is that if it's exactly Arbor up, like, GG, you win the game, feels bad. But if it's any other card, I think he can afford to play this a little bit slower and try and get the value from the condition in Samuro.
All right. Does he go all in on saying, all right, Samuro's coming out next turn, I'm calling your bluff, you don't have a buff card? Just like double trade this Crab Rider over 2 4s?
I mean, he could, right? It would, again, it's just one of those questions where what do you put them on having as one card as a setup? Obviously, they're drawing another card off the top, which can always be a buff, but maybe it would be worth the risk, because the problem right now is Samuro only really kills 1 minion, right? So it's not even that powerful right now. Low flight. May as well have not been a card.
Yeah, this is pretty abysmal. We'll have to just trade one of these over Hero Power trade again, and then probably play the Massul Cup and then go face, but I believe that would be a full clear from Blade Master Shamra on the other side.
Yeah, that's it, right? OmegaZero right now has no way to stop these trades happening, whether he does the trades or not, right? So the trades exist, which make Samuro significantly better next turn. Ugh.
Time waits for no one.
So Omega's just gonna decide to push all the damage. I think for a second he's weighing up,
All right.
bumping the bumper car.
I am enjoying this. No reason to trade. Easiest Samuro in existence. OmegaZero only has 2 cards left in hand. What could they possibly be?
Is it the easiest? What if he's greedy with it? He can play Playmaker, bumper card, double trade, and still coin out another 1/1. That's a lot of stuff.
I feel like with 2 cards in hand, one of them you're pretty confident is not Arbor Up. I guess you're not, because it was an overloaded turn because Lightning Bloom was used the previous turn. And even if you think that one could be Arbor Up, then I think just getting the Blade Master Samuro clear out of the way and having then you can follow that up with Playmaker Bumper Card, because this board or that board on that turn was much bigger than any board that OmegaZero could build with 3 cards, I think. It's pretty big though. Solar Eclipse.
Yeah,
Mongol Fortunes.
I think this was one of the few things that OmegaZero could have even done in this whole game to actually give himself any chance, because when Druid's pushed off board and now the okasinnsuke with like on the Warriors been able to build up his own side, like Druid doesn't interact with an already full enemy board very well, right? So it would have snowballed away, I think, very quickly, but the Solar Fungal Fortunes has given him a fair amount of options. He's got another Solar Eclipse, he's got the Arbor Up, he's got those Thorn Growth as well.
This is quite a potential for a pretty massive board. No okasinnsuke gets to know this, but
is this
honestly,
is this a run tag for you, TJ? Just because the bumper cards exist?
Yeah.
Because in this matchup, there is a
synergy with Playmaker to be able to clear off a board next turn.
Okay.
But I guess Runtak would not be bad either, because you could like pre-trade bumper cars and then the Playmaker with Runtak would double buff them. Oh, just going, oh, okay. Yeah, he's going to be able to play it this turn. Counter pressure. I like this, actually. I like this a lot. Because it gives so many options. The Playmaker's not dying. So this gives okasinnsuke the option to like trade off bumper cars and like use the double up on the riders to clear things off the board.
Right. And even just having all these 1/1s is huge, right? So
yeah, it is.
And the Playmaker could be cleaned off by Omega this turn if he wants to commit hero power as well. He does have that Bog Beam in hand. It's got to be a tough turn for Omega here, because there's a fair few options. Even just acknowledging the fact that Glowfly is very big right now. Like, does he just play Glowfly to almost let okasinnsuke trade into him and just say, well, now you've got no cards? So if he trades this Glowfly for the majority of the board, well, there's still Solar, Arbor Up, and Thorn Growth in hands, right? So OmegaZero is now winning the resource war.
Yeah, and okasinnsuke is not really in a position where he can make, like, go face to try and, like, set up for lethal. Not anywhere close. Trade one thing first. Okay.
TJ was about to say, order!
I mean, each one of these riders clears off a Glowfly.
Yeah.
This is a pretty big deal. I guess it's a little uneven, but then the last bumper card can get through. And then okasinnsuke still gets to push a little bit of damage, has Alex in hand. One more turn of like pushing damage to face and clearing off the board should be enough to get it done. Clean mana expenditure as well. Oh, this is just satisfying.
What more do you want, TJ? And again, okasinnsuke, just another Japanese player we have to keep our eye on, because they just continue to improve and continue to perform.
Yeah. Sato and I said that we both agreed that Japan was the strongest region in Hearthstone. Strongest country in Hearthstone, sorry, not region.
And also that Germany was just not a top 5 country in general, right? So.
They're a top 5 country in a lot of categories, actually. Okay, let's see here. Another Arbor Up, I guess? I don't know. You can't Celestial Alignment.
It has to. It's the only realistically even playable card, right?
Yeah.
And Omega's going to get a big board, and if he keeps stacking Arbor ups, then maybe he just gets there, right? He's not strictly just dead yet.
Okay. So can go trade bumper car first, then run thack. And clear off a good amount of the stuff, because the playmaker will summon 2 copies of each of the now 3/3 Dark Moon Riders. That's actually a massive pickup.
Yeah.
That allows okasinnsuke to clear off a large chunk of this board. The only awkward part about this is the fact that there's 4 health minions on the board, and pretty much everything that okasinnsuke has is 3 attack.
What now?
This is hard to like sequence properly, and this run thack kind of has to go into the Thorngore Sentry as well, just to get the most like efficient value out of the riders. And I got to make a decision fast. All right, well, board cleared. Yeah.
Gets it done. That's all that matters, because not only can we see this, but it's the general consensus against Druid anyway, is their damage just doesn't exist if they don't have a board, right? It's all about those on-board buffs. So these Arbor ups would have easily destroyed okasinnsuke if there was any minions left over, but he's done a great job of cleaning that up. Now he's got Alexstrasza to land, so if there's no hero power, he only even needs to run that to survive, right? To be able to finish this game. And, TJ, there's no hero power. It's going to be game.
That's game. Yeah.
Okay. Really well played there, honestly. That was really good.
Yeah, the playmaker's putting in a lot of work turn after turn. I like that OmegaZero respected the previous one, right? And on the turn prior to that, where OmegaZero had played the Glowfly Swarm, instead of like trying to make a little bit bigger of a board or go for the Thorngore Sentries and Arbor up on the last turn, realizing that playmaker was going to be a thorn in his side if he didn't. But then the second one was there, and just kind of playing it onto the board and saying, Druid really doesn't have much removal. You already used your most powerful removal in Pounce. So I'm free and clear to play this playmaker on the board, and was able to make fantastic work of it. Obviously, the run thack was an insane draw here, because it allowed the double buff of the Darkmoon Rider, which ended up becoming a double buff because of the playmaker on board.
Right.
That allowed him to clear at a pretty low life total with an Arbor follow-up. But the setup to get to that point, I think, from okasinnsuke was quite good.
Yeah, even picking these Murlocs for some extra push damage, right? Like, and getting them all played on that turn with the playmaker,
Yeah,
getting like the immediate value from them, it was worthwhile, because you can see them making the good trades now. And honestly, there's a point where if there was even any of those left up at the end of that turn and okasinnsuke couldn't clear the whole board, things might have looked just a little bit differently as well, because then they can get buffed. The hero power maybe could have come down and changed a few things, or it could have made things a little bit different and continued the game. But I just think really well and navigated there from okasinnsuke, and now he's going to be moving on to this OTK Demon Hunter, another deck that requires some pretty on-point navigation to get the most out of it.
Yes, it does. Donald probably hates this list looking at it right now. The one of Spectral Sight, one of Acrobatics. Yeah. Okay, so Spectral Sight has the upside of being able to sometimes draw 2 cards. But a lot of times, at least in my opinion, it clogs up the double jump pool. Not everybody will say that, because sometimes players really want to, like, there's like a specific out that you really want to hit Spectral Sight if you need to draw cards for less mana. But I like always being able to hit like either I-Beam or Skull of Gul'dan, or having extra chances to hit that. And then Acrobatics is always draw 2 at the downside of it costs 1 more mana. So It's easier kind of hand management. It simplifies things down a little bit. I've been leaning more towards acrobatics as of late, but I do like going all in on one, either double spectral sight or double acrobatics, and not one or the other. But it really doesn't make that much of a difference in most scenarios. We're at the point where OTK Demon Hunter is so refined as a deck that I have to come up with these small arguments about very specific tech choices that don't matter 99% of cases, just to keep it refreshing.
And I think that it really does come down to like just preference, right? The cards are close enough together in terms of what they generally achieve in any given game of Hearthstone that it is just down to what card you prefer, as opposed to what card is strictly better or not. And okay, that had to have been you, right, TJ? You admitting to this one?
Oh.
You don't know? Mystery.
Oh, who it was?
Okay, well, it's going to be going up against this token Druid and OmegaZero, keeping hold of that Glowfly Swarm. And honestly, it's weird, and I don't know why I feel like this, because it's been the case for a while, but it still feels surprising that OTK Demon Hunter seems to do as good as it does versus token Druid. I don't think it's like super favored for Demon Hunter, of course, but Demon Hunter's definitely not too scared of it. It has the ability to clear those big boards quite easily.
Yes, it does. The issue becomes like when you try and go for those wide board clears, right? How greedy you need to become, because token Druid has so many waves of threats, and you can very often find yourself in a position where you use your immolation aura too early, they reload it onto the board, and then you die from the reload. I feel like a lot of times you do need to get a little bit greedy with things, and at a certain point say, all right, I can play around like single card or maybe 2-card lethals, but nothing more than that, and try and get greedy and go for a even wider clear a little bit in the future, and then bounce back my life total with like I-Beam or Fellscream Blast or something like that. One of the things that Druid is not known for is damage from hand. Obviously, they have ways to get it with like Feral Rage and the Moontouch Amulet, but it's not in their deck. Unless you're OmegaZero.
I was going to say, are you sure, TJ? That's what they want you to think. And then pounce.
Yeah. But I think that's the balance that you have to strike in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And I think playing the matchup a good amount of times, which if you're playing OTK Demon Hunter on ladder, you're probably going to run into that matchup pretty often. You do learn to kind of find that balance.
And I love this play from okasinnsuke here. Buffing, getting the second Moag, getting it buffed because it was in the philosophy was in the outcast position, and just dropping a 2-mana 3/5 on the board. It's just great. Druid doesn't really cash in on the Moag like double-sided effect, so just have a 3/5 to beat up some tokens, and then carry on with your day. Looks great.
Yeah, it's basically just Lunar Eclipse that would answer it. And if okasinnsuke gets a Lunar Eclipse out on turn 2, which is not a turn usually outside of Gibberling, that token Druid really wants to use Lunar Eclipse to kind of to pop off, it ends up working out. And honestly, like getting in this chip damage with the Moarg early, getting down to reduce those breakpoints can oftentimes be a necessity in the matchup, because you give yourself more outs for lethal, one less combo card or potential combo card that you need to actually deliver lethal damage.
Yeah, and it really is huge. I think after so many games of seeing OTK Demon Hunter like do a lot of the big full combos, I kind of forgot how much damage they can do with the bare minimum, and it's quite a lot. Just because it's not 30 doesn't mean it's not a large amount of damage, right? So yeah, I'm with you on that one. If there's some chip damage being pushed, then it makes that just sudden, skull on 6, death on 7 out way more likely.
Yeah.
Kurt, going to help get through a lot of these tokens as well. 3 very manageable amount of minions to clear, especially considering that's the perfect number for Fellscream Blast.
Kurt's great. Love Kurt.
Me too.
Wonder.
All right. So this turn, it's kind of difficult because there's a good mix of buff cards and setup cards in the hand.
Is this difficult?
Wonder.
Is this not like just adorable Arbor up every day?
Yeah, but then what's the follow up, right?
Kill him.
4 mana, you overload for 2, and if your board does get cleared off, then you're going to next turn with 3 mana. You'd have to Fungal Fortunes. You're not presenting that threat, and you'd have to Fungal Fortunes to turn going into the Skull turn.
So my view on it would be okasinnsuke only has 4 cards in hand. You kill off the Moarg anyways. You know one of the cards is a Moarg. Fine, that's dangerous. But the second there isn't the clear, you probably just win. Like, so much damage.
Yeah,
I feel like he's not channeling the token druid experience, which is just make a big board and hope they don't clear it and then win.
There's not a super rush though, and I think that like the biggest hurdle to get over in this matchup is like making it uncomfortable for them to cast a skull. And if he had went for Arbor up there and his board was dealt with, there would be no way for him to pressure a skull turn. And so I like that he just kind of went for a middle ground here. Now, if he goes for Arbor up, he gets to build a reasonably sized board, and then it's a little bit scarier for okasinnsuke to play the skull on 6. Though, this double Moarg actually is quite brilliant because this means that even if Arbor up came out, the trades wouldn't be great.
Yeah, it's actually one of those
OmegaZero.
weird circumstances where Arbor up on a board full of minions just doesn't even do as much as you'd want it to.
Yeah, like you could push face, but then you're leaving 2 Moargs on the board, and you know that kind of has the adverse effect of, well, now it's really easy for okasinnsuke to heal back up that damage that you just dealt. Maybe he finds a middle ground here and it kills 1 and then ships the rest. Either way, like if you trade 2 minions in, you don't have that threatening of a board, and if you do, if you don't trade 2 minions in, you're still gonna lose your board to Immolation Aura.
He has to kill them both, right?
He has to.
Immolation Aura just wrecks him.
Yeah, but like from his perspective, trading the minions also kind of wrecks him. So I get why it was difficult. Let me put it that way. But I do agree in the end that it's probably better to trade him because a single card beating you as opposed to, well, maybe I get to keep 12 damage on the board. That's a big difference.
Yeah, especially when there's just still additional ways to grow the board in hand, right? There's the Thorn Growth, there's the 2 Pride's Furies, which will significantly increase the health of these minions, which make them much harder to deal with. So yeah, I like this. Just protect the minions you have and try and land Pride's Fury in them next turn.
Demons.
Was not the most mind-blowing skull in the world, was it?
No. It was not. It was terrible. Don't know Immolation Aura also.
Time grows short.
But funnily enough is with the Ilganoth drawn would actually be pretty close to lethal. A lot of spell damage available, a lot of cheap spell damage available with a free I-Beam and a Moarg. Fellscreen Blast would make that a little bit cleaner, but I think okasinnsuke's probably worried about dying now, and feels like he needs to part with the I-Beam.
You can tell how tough a decision that was, right? Because literally wait until the last second there and then committed to it. Just remove 1 minion, heal for a bit. But now Thorn Growth with the I believe Solar Pride's Fury is approximately 1 million health.
Yeah. Though, an Immolation Aura off the top still would clear them.
Wait a minute.
He would have needed.
Ah, no, he didn't.
To be able to kill with the I-Beam. A lot.
Oh,
Wait.
okay. I mean, you can play it all right.
That's a clear. Talented Arcanist, Ethereal Aug Merchant, Blood Mage Thalnos. That's +4 spell damage. Each one would hit for each way. Wait, no, it would be +4 spell damage on the first one, then +3 spell damage on the. Oh, no, it would work.
Demons.
Oh no, it wouldn't work.
You're taking me on an emotional roller coaster here, TJ.
Wait, no, it snapshots it. No, it's good.
It's so ridiculous that.
Wait, why can't I remember that? I've seen this 100 times.
It works, right? Because it's the one spell.
Yes, because it essentially snapshots your spell damage at the time
Yeah.
of casting.
Yeah. Because the.
But he's not doing it, so that's why I'm doubting myself.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm doubting myself because you're doubting you. I need you to be confident, TJ. Just be confident. Okay, he's doing it now.
You're paying for my discretion.
Oh no, okay, yeah. It wasn't a clear because he couldn't fit in the Blood Mage Thalnos. I don't know why he had this made available. It's because he needed to draw the Immolation Aura with the Chaos Strike at the beginning of the turn. Okay. But still necessary, but he's dead. Oh no, he's not dead, because he's overloaded. Prize Fury and Hero Power not able to come down this turn.
So I imagine with that, he just goes for Glowfly, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Well, no, there's
TJ?
merit to Hero Powering, so Hero Power is lethal next turn. Like, force the healing instead of a board clear. Because if you Glowfly, and then second Immolation Aura comes down, then you're still potentially multiple turns away. I think you need to fit in a Hero Power here. Oh, you were thinking about Pounce? Is that what you're thinking about?
It would be lethal.
You're right.
What to do? Time waits for no one.
Just gonna choose to just continue to dig.
I really do think Hero Power there, though.
Yeah, to put him on one, basically.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Never mind.
I yield.
Wow, honestly, that was one of the more trickier matchups between these two decks that I've seen for a while. A lot of the time, either the Token Druid just builds the board and there isn't an answer, and then they win, or the Demon Hunter maybe clears 2 waves and then just wins the game because they then secure the board. But with the whole, like, I think OmegaZero played like 3 Moags that game that without comboing them with spells just to have the board presence. OmegaZero made about 3 to 4 different boards, and neither player really got a strong foothold in the game for long enough to just end it quickly. So that's a very interesting game, number 4 from these players.
Paying for my discretion.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're paying for my discretion.
Oh, yeah, the zoom in on the spell. Oh, yeah. There it is. So it doesn't snapshot it because
It did 5 and 3, right?
Yeah. So it does snapshot it. Okay.
I yield.
Again, I've seen that like so many times, and even played with it so many times. I guess a lot of times it's like paired with a Moark, so the first one will deal like additional damage.
Well, like
that was actually a tough turn to navigate if you look at it that way.
Yeah, because the double hit keeps the spell damage from the Arcanist, right? But it lost the spell damage
But it
from the
loses the spell damage from when the
Ethereal.
Arcanist dies.
Yeah, but because it loses the ethereal spell damage, right? That it puts
Yes.
on. Yes, because it dies, correct.
Yeah. Which is weird.
It's just one spell that's cast before the Arcanist dies, so where's its spell damage?
Yeah.
Is my question.
It's the
Where's
battle
the
of
lore?
2 keywords.
Yeah, where's the lore explaining this? That's what I want to talk about. But Omega
It's like the battle of 2 keywords: battle cry and spell damage. Spell damage needs to exist on the board, where battle cry is just is a state of being.
It's just a frame of mind. That's all.
Yeah, once battle cry happens, it happens. No matter what, it happens. Spell damage, you gotta live to tell the tale. So
Does mean though, OmegaZero is going to be on that road, TJ. So your fears have come true. OmegaZero has to win a game with his rogue, and he's going up against this OTK Demon Hunter. And this is a close matchup. I know there are players on both sides of this conversation of, no, OTK Demon Hunter just wins this one, and no, rogue demolishes Demon Hunter. Do you fall particularly on one side or the other, or are you joining me smack bang in the middle where you just think it's an even matchup?
Assuming standard lists on the rogue side, right? Double Cold Neophyte, I think that it's smack dab in the middle.
Okay.
50-50. But if you're running like...
No!
what are they called? Idiot bears. And no Cold Neophytes or whatever other bad 2-drops you want to play, then it's OTK Demon Hunter favorite because you have no way to disrupt.
Right.
So, oh my, whoa. Just a skull already positioned perfectly in the hand for okasinnsuke. That's what you love to see.
Whereas OmegaZero's opening is high quality, but not really fast, right? And do you think that's what Rogue needs in this matchup? Do you think it needs a faster opening, or is the quality of the opening good?
I think quality is better than speed. Though, oftentimes, when you're talking about Rogue, quality and speed are the same.
That is true. Apart from Kazakus, which I think is one of the better cards in the matchup, right? Is like Kazakus isn't particularly fast, but if you get those 2 5/5 Divine Shields, well, that goes a long way to winning you the game.
Yeah, and Kazakus can't really get faster because even if you play Octobot and reduce the Kazakus, you still have to wait until you have 5 mana available to play the Golem. So, Kazakus is good if you can get like summon a copy. Obviously, Divine Shield is the best, but if you can get any type of summon a copy, 2 5/5s on turn 5, it's very difficult. And Cold Neophyte picked up for OmegaZero. I feel like that card is pretty crucial in the matchup just to try and disrupt going into some of the key turns. The main one being to play it going into the potential turn 6 or earlier if an Illidari Studies is played. And then a side note for Cold Neophyte is sometimes you can use it to protect a board state if you know that you're playing something specific. OmegaZero here going to go for just get it on the board in order to activate the combo effect of the Wand Thief, but has a Shadow Step in hand, so if he really feels like he needs to play it again going into a Skull turn, he's fine. Oh yeah, Raging Fell Screamer, just the juice.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about Neophyte into the Skull turn, but there's also what we see from Omega where if he didn't play Neophyte, his turn was just trash. Which is like, do you want to trade a Neophyte into Skull turn for a completely trash and empty turn 3 when you could start to build a board? Probably not.
Yeah.
And now with the Neophyte living on board, now we can talk about where Shadow Step goes, because there's the Neophyte as an option. There's arguably even Kazakus to try and build an even bigger board in the near future, just in case. So
I saw summon a copy.
Also as well, yes?
That's a 5-drop.
Let me see. Oh, yeah. I'll agree with you.
Oh. In the land of 5-drops, that is king. And he rules with a clay fist.
Oh, kind of king and queen, right? There's 2 of them, so...
There you go.
Here, though, I mean, look at this hand, though, from okasinnsuke, right? OmegaZero's had a fantastic start. He's got the golems, tick all those boxes. As soon as this skull is played, like, okasinnsuke can almost play his whole hand next to it, which is pretty incredible. So he will have a good amount of responses. He's just going to have to take a bit of a beat in this turn instead. He can just play his whole hand and draw a new one next turn.
Yeah.
This is so crazy.
I see.
Okay, Immolation Aura, that's a good pickup. with lots of access to spell damage in hand. Divine Shields do make it awkward, but I feel like okasinnsuke's got a lot of tools at his disposal to try and clean things up next turn with Throw Glaives, Eye Beams, and Immolation Aura. Just about surviving until that point. Wonder what he's thinking about here, whether or not to use this weapon swing. Can't play Acrobatics because everything would be too expensive to play and would be at full hand size. But just decides to hold.
It's quiet. Too quiet. Give me that. Not what I was.
And the draw train begins. Keep note as well, there is that Mask of Cthulhu in OmegaZero's hand. And, well, now they do. And that's just a lot of damage, and a lot of unexpected damage that normally gets the job done versus Demon Hunter, right? Because they never really play minions that have got high health. The few minions that have, I guess, higher health, Moargs, which double the damage of Mask against them anyway, which then negates the high health. So this back-to-back Mask into Alex might just win this game for Omega here. This is looking so dangerous, even though we can see okasinnsuke has a ton of ways to pop off with removal next turn.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage. Lot of damage. It's going to use a secret passage to
use it. Get
just
out
to dump a card from hand. Yeah. Has a second one, has a board, has all the cards he could ever want in his hand already.
Yeah, the game plan pretty straightforward. Small question here. But is there ever a bit of positioning going on here? If you're thinking about Fellscreen Blast, should one of the minions have been in between the Divine Shield? One of the minions on the right, I mean.
Probably.
Okay, just wanted to double check. Moving on.
Having the two Divine Shields next to each other, though, does make it so that it's actually harder to take off both while also removing other minions.
Yeah.
So I think there's arguments both ways.
That's fair. Looks like he's going to start with the Immolation Aura. Well, with Talented Arcanist first, but...
Talented Arcanist, Immolation Aura, and Throw Glaive.
I just...
It's just a clear by itself.
Yeah. I was just trying to think whether he wanted to actually cast a Eye Beam this turn. He can probably get away with
time for that.
Yeah. Also has that 0-mana acrobatics too, so dig a lot deeper, especially with his Throw Glaive being discarded at the end of the turn. Did its job, now it's gone. But now is OmegaZero gonna just hard commit here? Since mask into mask is technically lethal right now.
Yeah.
And again,
it's not developing a minion.
Exactly, so there's no Eye Beam targets. And what is okasinnsuke gonna play as a minion next turn? The only realistic outcome is Il'gynoth because he's won, right? Like, what other minions would he just play on the board now? Because even at this point, okasinnsuke knows that OmegaZero has coin. Even if it's coin Alex dagger swing, he's still not technically dead, right?
Yeah. Trying to think of what range of possibilities there could be. So Spectral Sight probably the obvious choice, but maybe get Gnarg and then Aldraki Warblades because obviously he spent his whole turn playing Mask of Cthulhu, and this does give some additional lifesteal. okasinnsuke also has a free Acrobatics as a potential card draw.
And when acrobatics is 0, it is much more likely it's going to get the extra draws, right? Because you're drawing 2 cards for 0 anyway.
Yeah.
Now doing the quick mental acrobatics to see if he can actually play Skull. Because if he plays Skull, what does that mean? And also if he plays Skull, he probably can't play Blood Mage. I think he just ran out of time.
Ooh. Well, Neophyte picked up. Okay, so what? Let's see what kind of 2-turn lethal setups are possible. You could just coin Alex here, but
What if he masks and coins Neophyte?
okay. The only problem is then next turn you can't play Wicked Stab and Alex Strauss on the same turn. But maybe just Alex Strauss is enough?
Too soon.
Okay, he's gonna go Brain Freeze. Kill off the minion on Shinsuke's side. Secret Passage. What is he looking for at this point? I think he hit a Shadow Step.
Enwu, second Shadow Step. Alright, dump the Wicked Stab too. And the Man Crick. Oh.
Pretty good turn. Last minute, but pretty good turn.
Yeah.
I hope he got it all
This is
out.
+2 on the spells, plus the damage dealt, and putting the very angry Man Crick into the deck.
Important to remember though, the I-beams when outcast will always be 1. So although that second one says 5, as soon as he plays the first one, the other one will become 1 cost. So it beats the Neophyte. Because I think Okashinsuke will be looking to heal this turn. I think he's very aware of the pressure he's under right now, and is probably aware that there's Alex Straza in hand for Omega. Or at least some kind of burn from the mage spells, right? Because I think OmegaZero's very clearly playing an aggressive game plan with that mask turn 7.
I grow impatient.
Okay, so start with Blood Mage I-Beam, but I honestly don't know where the rest of this mana is going to go. This is difficult. How many combo pieces do you actually hold on to? How much health does he feel like he needs?
With Arcanist, Fellscream Blast, and Moag, he hardly needs any combo pieces, right? His opponent's on 15. Like,
oh yeah, now 12.
it's going to be very dead very soon. All Okashinsuke needs to do is survive, so I really like the double I-beam, the swing of the weapon. Just make sure that you don't die, because it feels like any minute Okashinsuke is going to have drawn what he needs to win the game. And you see now Omega having to bail out with the aggro plan and heal himself with the Alex Straza.
Yeah, he did see double I-Beam, so, you know, he's just trying to play around just like easy breakpoints from Okashinsuke. Okanon's still at the bottom, and right now he doesn't even have a way to answer. All right, I took that back. He technically does have a way to answer the Alex Straza, but he's not going to do that. I think.
Feels like it would be a bit extreme.
Okay, there's still a Fellscream Blast in the deck. There's still an Ethereal Aug Merchant in the deck. But that's it. Okay.
He's going to do it? Okay.
I guess he is going to do it. This does get the Skull into Outcast position.
That is true.
And then also moves the Philosophy in Outcast position. No, this is absolutely fine to do this. It also presents some threats on the board, which could get in that little bit of extra chip damage. No, this is absolutely the correct play.
Yeah, fair enough on this. I was trying to work out if there was a reasonable way to set up the skull from the other side, but there just wasn't. Like, there really wasn't, especially with that philosophy. So, and the more I look at it, the more I've been brought round, TJ. The skull makes it all worth.
And gets the heal to full.
Yeah. It's a big deal when your opponent's on now half of your own health. Okay, Enraged Mancrit, that's something, but of course with OmegaZero almost at the bottom of his deck, that was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe this evocation's gonna make or break the game, TJ.
Too soon.
The evocation is
Evocation is just, it feels so lackluster without like frostbolts. Like the amount of like straight up burn you can find unless you hit double fireball is pretty limited. Okay, so there's Il'gynoth.
Well, feels like next turn might be a good one for Oka.
Is he worried about dying? There is
13, 14 with a dagger.
Oh, he's just dead.
Demons.
There's Mask of Cthulhu and Wicked Stab in hand. There's 16 damage from hand.
He is, but is he ever going to play around a Mask of Cthulhu number 2? Because if he does play around it, he probably has to Fell Scream Blast. In which
That's
then,
his last life seal
yeah,
card.
that's what I mean. In which then he just doesn't win the game.
Yeah.
Hey, does Orc Merchant on the 2-1 do anything here?
It does actually. It would leave him alive at 1 to exactly Mask of Cthulhu Wicked Stab. Because there's 13 on board and 16 from hand. No, it wouldn't.
No, it would be exactly lethal, right?
It would be exact. Oh no, because the 1 damage on the, or the 1 health on the Ethereal Aug Merchant.
Oh!
I'm almost.
Oh yeah, that's...
Oh! Wait! That's 1 damage off. Right? 5, 6, plus 5, 11, plus 9, 20, 26.
Wait. No. He can attack, he can Wicked Stab first, then Juggler.
Oh, then Penflicker. Ah, yes.
We solved it.
Oh, it's good. Oh,
Wow,
it's
what
good.
an ending. Just enough mana. What a game, what a series. I didn't see this one coming, TJ.
Yeah, this was quite well played, I think,
Yeah.
from both sides. Honestly, like it's hard for me to spot like any inconsistencies in game plans. I like the fact that OmegaZero abandoned the burn plan. I like the fact that he didn't just like rip the second mask on the turn where he could have and tried to like over aggressively commit to a 2-turn lethal setup. Instead, just tried to build these boards and force okasinnsuke to be in these weird spots. But at the end of the day, it was just OmegaZero putting pressure on at the right times. And in order to force the resources out, and then the last remaining combo pieces that okasinnsuke need were at the bottom of the deck. The skull didn't hit the right ones to set up a next turn lethal.
Right.
And that was the end of it.
I also think on the other side of that, though, okasinnsuke, if you remember, there was the Kazakus into the perfect golems beating him up, as we saw a little bit earlier on in this replay. He took so much damage, the mask on an empty board on curve, huge deal. He was under a ton of pressure and got to just 1 turn short and 1 health short, I guess, of actually just being able to answer in the other way, right? So even though I think both players play very well, but just for okasinnsuke there, fighting back from that